Okay, everybody, so today we're going to talk about Romania Residency, and we have a residency expert that came all the way from Bucharest to meet with us in Brajov here today, and this is Remus. And so we're going to have Remus tell us a little bit about himself and how you can come to Romania, possibly, if all the criteria is met, and stay. Okay, Remus, so go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about you and how, your background and what you're able to do for them.
Hello, Warren, and thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here with and share our knowledge and what we accumulated. So, me and Ruxandra, we founded R&R Partners back in 2017, and from there on until now, we've been specializing in immigration, and especially expats and some, want to travel to Romania for a limited time and want just to stay here to do some activities, visit the country, and others want to come here and stay long term. That implies residency, that implies tax residency, paying taxes, and so on. So practically we are trying to have like an all package for everybody who is an expat and coming to Romania. Now, I know that we spoke a bit before, and you said that you have viewers who are from the US, US and Canada, EU and UK and other non-EU countries. So basically, all of them have their own categories. The simplest to come to Romania is as a EU citizen, because you have the freedom of movement. If you stay here more than 3 months, you can take a residency permit. That gives you a CMP number based on just means of living, like showing 50 euro in a bank account, having health insurance, and you can stay in Romania, buy a property, buy a car, and do whatever you want.
So as an EU person, it's pretty simple.
In the EU, as a EU citizen, it's straightforward. You don't need any complication at all.
Okay. Well, what about the complicated people? The Americans and non-EU and the Brits, Canadians?
We'll put the Brits the last. So the second category would be the American, Canadians, and Japanese. They can come to Romania and they are waived of long-term visas. What does that mean? That means that basically the Romanian embassy will not issue a long-term visa or any type of visa to you. You just come to Romania, and the law thinks that you either are in Romania for a long term or a short term. They stay something like 60 days, close to 90 days, and then they say, oh, I don't want to leave, the ticket is too expensive. Technically, if you'd be a non-EU citizen, you should go outside of Romania and get a long-term visa and come back with that long-term visa. For Americans, Canadians, and Japanese, you just come to Romania, you stay in Romania, and it's a trick here. It's very easy to open a company and get the first residency permit for economical activity without economical activity.
Okay.
So basically, you don't need to show anything else than that you incorporated a business and you want to stay here to run your business.
Okay, so you don't have to make money to be clear, or to have a company that's actually in business. You just need to open up the corporation and be the officer of the corporation.
Exactly. You open up the corporation, and the first year the immigration authority is like, okay, you opened up a company, you've shown that you're serious, we give you 1 year so you can do some business. Okay? For the second year on, you will need to show that business. What is the result of the business? So you'll need an accountant, and you'll need some income on the company. Now, many clients ask me, well, what should be the income? Should I be making, 1,000 euro per month, 10,000, 10 lei? What is the amount? And here is like the shady part. Nobody knows exactly what the interpretation is. We have clients who went with 1,000 RON per month, and that's usually how much we go. So that would be something like 2,500 euro in the whole year. And that was enough. If you can do more and you actually have a business and run your business from Romania, that would actually be very interesting for you from a financial point of view if you're not a retiree like you guys, because in Romania we have extremely low taxation, not low, extremely low.
Okay.
We have 3% for businesses, so basically all your income that comes to your business is taxed with 3%, and you have another dividend tax when you pull out the money from the company if you have excess money, which is taxed with 5% per the dividends you take out. That are basically all the taxes you need to pay. Also be aware that from the second year, excepting the economical activity that you must prove, you also must prove that you are insured in the national health system, and that is like 300 euro per year.
Okay.
I know, speaking to Americans,
that's inexpensive. That's like 25 euro a month, right? So yeah, it's inexpensive.
Exactly. There is one more thing. If your dividends exceed 6,000 euro per month, per year, the health insurance goes from 300 to 600. However, that is capped. So basically, if you make 1 million euro through your company and you pull out 1 million euro in dividends, you pay the health insurance just the 600 euro.
Okay.
And the 5% and 3%. Technically, the 3%, if you're doing more than 100,000 euro per year, it's worth taking into consideration hiring somebody else, because your tax level goes from 3% to 1%.
Okay. So let me ask you about, say, the second year. If a person were to come to Romania and they buy a property, and then they rent that property out, and that produces the income, like if maybe through an Airbnb or a booking.com, and that produces income, would that be the income that would be legal for their proof of income?
Yes, but the idea is that the property should be bought through the company. And my advice with renting out properties is mixed, because, for example, on Booking, technically it's a bit harder to rent a property. They ask you to be authorized by the Ministry of Tourism.
Okay.
As far as I know, Airbnb does not require this, and it's something like more a social way of leasing the property, and they do not need this authorization. What we have clients on at the moment are IT guys, many ITs who come to Romania, open the company, get the business through the Romanian company, and they can travel in this period. Or we have the second category, which are consultants, and again they travel. And usually in this way you can also, for example, have easy access to economical activity. If you want the investment in the property, there is you should consult with an accountant and with somebody specialized in this area, because if you buy the property, let's say you buy 2 properties and they are both around 70,000 euro for Bucharest. When you buy the properties, you can buy them as a non-VAT payer, but if you want to sell both properties in the same year, you'll become a VAT payer on the second sale.
Okay.
And when you sell the second property, you'll be taxed with 19%.
19%. Okay.
Yeah. So that is why investing in real estate, we usually, if you don't intend to be a long-term or personal use or more than one property, there are some tricks and tips, to say so. For example, you can have like an investment vehicle, one big company which owns particular companies which own a certain apartment, and when they each individually sell that apartment, they don't become a VAT payer. Also, you can have one company which is a VAT payer and buys the apartments, and in that way, for example, if you buy from a company which is a VAT payer, as a natural person, for example, if you're buying an apartment which is around 200,000 euro, you will be paying the 19% tax. However, if you are buying with a company which is a VAT payer, there is something called reverse taxation, and you don't pay any VAT.
Okay, so no VAT?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling you this is a bit technical. I don't want to get into the details because the idea is that before investing you should consult and do a business plan, because in the long term the idea is that a consultation can go, I don't know, 50, 100 euro, 200, I don't know with whom you might be speaking. For us, we also do consulting, but it's not the topic of the video. The idea is that with that initial consultation you could be saving 19% or 5% on a 100,000 euro transaction.
Okay.
So it's better to discuss to see what you need, what you do, but yeah, that would be the main idea.
So a lot of the people that are probably watching this, I'm going to say probably half of them may be retired. Either they've got a pension, maybe in America they've got something called Social Security, so they have income coming in, or they've got savings, or in Canadian retirement programs. Is there anything set up to where somebody could show that they're self-sufficient financially, or that they have income through retirement that allows them to stay beyond 90 days, or is the corporation going to be their best avenue to stay in Romania?
Until now, what we've done is the part with the company. Usually the persons who are coming to us are around 40 to 50. They want to travel, they are nomads. Technically there's a second option which is called other activities residency permit, and that other activities residency permit has two categories. One is for we have a person who is retired but he's on medical care, so it was simpler for us to go to his doctor who is taking care of him in Romania, and they give us a letter each and every year that he is on medical care and he gets a 1 year residency permit for medical treatment.
Okay.
The second would be other purposes that do not interfere with the Romanian law, or basically at the will of the immigration authority. And usually I like to not be at the will of somebody. It's like, I meet the conditions, these are the conditions, please give me the residency permit and I'm done. But technically you have that open, so you could as American, Canadians and Japanese, the second bracket, they do not need to show that they have income or something like that. It's mostly just a statement what I'm doing in Romania. Maybe you have a house or something like that, and you're coming to live in your house and stay there as a retiree. Technically that would be an option, just to have 100% guarantee success rate. We go with the economical activity, and if they are over 65, we take into consideration this part with other activities that do not interfere with the Romanian law.
Okay, so there's that option. Yeah, it's really tough sometimes when you're dealing with ambiguity in the laws. I think like Italy is a really tough country, where I think people think, hey, it sounds like it might be easy to go to Italy, and then it's really up to the opinion or how that person that's judging your paperwork feels that day at whether or not you get approved. So
Yes.
Italy is a hot mess, and I think you know it's. But we're talking Bulgaria today, obviously, but not Bulgaria. We're talking Romania today, obviously.
They're our neighbors. It's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
but yeah, so yeah, I definitely can understand you're wanting to go the more tried and true, sure route versus rolling the dice with the way somebody feels.
Exactly, and the idea is that the whole procedure takes some time, and usually if the client comes and he's in the last days of his visa, if our request does not go through, you need to leave the country.
Okay.
And if you're in the last 90 days, technically you need to stay another 90 days out of the country, because you are allowed only 90 days within 180 to stay in Romania on a short-term visa. And then after staying 90 days outside, you come back. Also, take into consideration that buying property in Romania as a natural person without a business is close to impossible. We have a video that will be coming out on our channel regarding the tax identification number. All in short is that if you want, each of us we have a CMP number. It's like Social Security in the US.
Yes.
So basically, if you don't have that CMP number, you cannot pay taxes. If you're a natural person, the Romanian law does not allow you to go to the tax authority and say, look, I want to buy a property, give me a tax number. They want somebody to be your fiscal curator. And that fiscal curator is not somebody who says, oh, I know him and I know his number. It's somebody who is something like, oh, I know him and I'll vouch that he's paying his taxes.
Okay.
So basically, that person is responsible for you. Our practice is to not assist in obtaining the tax identification number. And if you take a residency permit, you are responsible for yourself. Nobody needs to do this for you. So basically, a vehicle like a company, either if it's for investment or something like that, is the best option from my point of view.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely understand that. We've seen that in other countries as well, that the corporation is an easy vehicle. I know for some people that sounds challenging when you're thinking, hey, I don't really want to work. This is, I want to go there and live. I've got my own money. But it's a lot of times it boils down to setting up a small business and paying the minimum taxes. Is that kind of what we're looking at here? Is just having the minimum responsibility that has to go to the government and being able to show a little bit of income.
Exactly.
And whether it's a little side gig that somebody is doing online or making money somehow, some way.
So basically, the small company that you have, for example, I wouldn't want to go into the shady part to say so, but for example, if you are making 1,000 RON, that would be 200 euro per month into your company in consulting. You could be consulting your family or somebody else from abroad. Doesn't need to be something like go and open a shop, get a license, do some consulting to somebody you know. If you're an IT guy, you can do a 1 hour per month consulting. And once you get that money into the company has expenses. It has setup expenses. You can have a rented headquarters. You can have something that the renewal of the residency, stuff like that you can also offset the balance. So basically, on those 200 euro, you'll be paying once every 3 months, starting with January. Like January, you are paying on the 25th of April for January, February, and March.
Okay.
So it's a trimestral payment that you make until the 25th of the next month after the trimester ends, if you want to get technical. And the tax is 3%. If we are calculating 3% on 600 euro, which you'll be making in the 3 months, that would be something like 12 euro that you are paying in taxes. Taking into consideration that you are not taking the money out, that would be your taxes. You'll have the accountant to take care of, and the accountant is deductible from the company. Residency procedures, you can deduct them, and other fees that you want to deduct, and they are strictly for your business. For example, if you're doing consulting, you could be also taking into consideration that your consulting is done via Zoom. You can buy a laptop. Maybe a client calls you. You can take a phone on the company, and so and so. So the business activity is not so high that it's a barrier to entry. And from my perspective, if you want to live long term in Romania, I think based on our taxes and the cost of living and the accessibility to English-speaking people. I don't know if you noticed when you were in Bucharest. I don't know how it's in Brașov, but in Bucharest, we have a lot of persons who are English speakers, and it's quite cheap. I don't know. You can get off with between 1,000 and 2,000 euro per month, living more than decently.
Yeah. I think for Americans to consider, if they're considering coming to Romania, the restaurants are probably maybe a third the price of the U.S. and groceries are probably a third to half what they're going to pay in the U.S. But the big savings comes in rent. And
Exactly.
where Julie and I are showing where we're staying, we're typically showing Airbnb, so we're showing something that's typically much more expensive than the typical person would pay.
Yes.
But if you were living in an apartment in Bucharest or Brasov, it's, you can find something that's going to be usable for a single person at $300 to $400 equivalent a month, and for a couple, there's something $400 to $500 a month is probably quite doable. What about the Brits? The UK, they've left the EU now, and what's their situation with trying to come here?
So basically, the Brits and the other non-EU citizens, they are the third category which we handle, and it's harder because they don't have the agreement that the US and Canadians and Japanese have. They are not EU. So basically, either if I want to bring a Brit or a person from Pakistan, it's roughly the same.
What about Australians? Are they just
Exactly the same.
Okay.
We handled British citizens, we handled Australians. We have a client who is currently through the procedure from New Zealand and so on. So we have been speaking with them, and we know the procedures. Basically, what they can do is either find an employer who will sponsor them to come to Romania, and that employer needs to get a work certificate which proves that he could not find other workforce which is specialized in that field in Romania.
Okay.
So that would be one option. The second option, which is again technically cheaper, but you go through the procedure, would be to open a company and come here as the director, because again that is a simpler option. You don't need to go through the selection procedure. You don't need to prove that you went and you cannot find another director as good as you. You are appointed by the bylaws and you come to Romania without selection. When we apply, the problem is that the procedure, you still need that work certificate, and that is issued now, for example, if the company is headquartered in Bucharest, in 6 months.
Okay. So
After 6 months, you can go and apply for the visa. So it's not like you, for example, now, if you tomorrow say that, oh, we love Romania, we want to stay here, you can incorporate a business and then apply to the immigration office. You don't need to leave Romania. For UK citizens, they need to live outside of Romania for those 6 months. They need to apply for the visa, the D-type visa, and then they come to Romania and they get a residency permit.
Okay.
So that's a lot more complicated and a lot longer process.
Yeah, and for non-EU citizens, the process is tougher because they also need to have the company only some profits. There is a special provision which says that if the company cannot support you, they can revoke the residency permit and send you back to your country. So the company each and every month must make at least around 600 euro per month in order to support your taxes.
Okay.
If you put other expenses over those 600 euro, we are speaking about 600 to 1,000 income on the company, so you can keep everything going. Now, the same applies to UK citizens, that you could come to Romania and say that, look, I'm a retiree. You make a beautiful presentation letter, show a bank statement, show that you are retired, show some statements that money is coming in, and you could technically get a visa for other purposes, and you come to Romania and stay for other purposes which do not interfere with the Romanian law, respectively being a retiree. Maybe they would be doing something like hopping from country to country because you have 3 months within 6 months to go and travel.
It's like what we do. We slow
do.
travel and
Yeah.
stay places less than 90 days and go on to another country.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can bounce back and forth between Serbia, Bulgaria, and Romania if you wanted to, and just go between
Exactly.
3 countries.
Yeah, or you can do something like the Schengen area. For example, Romania, Bulgaria are not in the Schengen area, neither is Croatia. So you can practically go stay 90 days within the Schengen area, then come to Romania, and this can be a base, and visit Transylvania and stuff like that. But if you want to stay here long term, it's a bit more painful as a non-EU citizen.
No, that sounds pretty obvious,
It is.
unfortunately. But if somebody has a will, there's a way, right? That's kind of the old saying.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so if somebody's out there listening and getting a little discouraged right now, before you write Romania off, if it's the place you really dream about, make sure you connect with Remus, and all of the contact information is going to be in the video description below, and I'm going to put his email address right here too, so you don't have to work too hard to try to reach out. But it might behoove you to go through the extra steps and the extra effort. We may have, because of what's going on in the world at the moment, Ukrainians tuning into this channel right now, thinking, hey, can I go to Romania? I mean, obviously there's a lot of Ukrainians in Romania right now. Are there special rules set up for the Ukrainian situation as far as residency at the moment?
For the Ukrainians, we have 3 options at the moment. Usually, if you come to Romania, the usual two options would be either apply for asylum, which I do not recommend, and there is something like a special protection program. But that would be a residency permit which is issued during the period of the war. So basically, if the war stops, you would need to go back to your country.
Okay.
What Romania implemented, and is something from my perspective great, you could just come, go in the workforce, find a job, and be employed as a regular Romanian. And even if the war stops, the company does not need the work certificate to employ you. They just make a contract with you, give you the wage, and you'll get a residence permit based on that contract, and that residence permit is indefinite. So you could be remaining in Romania for long term. And even if you go to some special types of formations, for example, if you are a nurse in Ukraine, Romania will employ you, and you can give a statement in front of the Romanian authorities that I possess all the diplomas, and you have a 1-year gap in which to get that diploma recognized and everything in Romania. That does not apply, for example, to doctors. But nurses and other small practices, you can just give a declaration for 1 year. But if you're non-qualified, or you're just a consultant or something like that, you could have not unlimited work agreement, get the residency permit, and establish here forever. But that would mean that you also get integrated in Romania and so on. And one more thing that we didn't tackle yet: after 5 years, if you stay in Romania permanently, you can get a permanent residency in Romania.
Okay.
However, you need to speak Romanian, and there is a special provision which says that within the 5 years, you cannot leave Romanian soil for more than 10 months in total.
Oh wow.
Okay. So it's a lot like other countries.
Yeah.
And Montenegro has a similar stipulation, about 10
Yes.
months and
Actually,
over
I
a
think it's
5-year period.
identical.
Yeah.
It's inspired from the EU.
That all makes sense to us. Hopefully it all makes sense to you guys too. So if you do have questions after watching this video, please reach out to Remus, and feel free to leave comments down below in the video description as well. So now, as a reminder, Julie and I, we're traveling the world with our 2 dogs. We're trying to see what it's like to live in different countries, and we're sharing our experiences and our expenses with you. So we hope that you're going to subscribe, give this video a like, and until next time, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.